Welcome back to another episode of Network is My Net Worth. It's your boy J Hall Agent. You see my guy on my side of the screen on the right to me, my guy Rel Purnell. And we touching on something special today, coming into the new year, new journey. Folks getting taxes, they wanna attack their dreams. So we're having a conversation about launching a new business. And you're gonna get perspective from him, from me, on what we feel like are some of the best things and tools you should do. So, bro, I'm gonna kick it off with you with this question. Knowing what you know now, being a full time entrepreneur for as long as you have, what is an early step that you think is important? We're not gonna do the minuscule go get an LLC. That's what Google's for. Just from getting yourself in the mix, what is the early step that someone should take if they're serious about starting a particular business?
I hate to say it, man. You have to get an LLC.
Well, yeah, this is. You right. I gotta stop assuming that people are going to do that. All right, I'm sorry, y'all. My guy is right. Please,
Yo,
no,
look,
you're 100% right. You're 100%
create the
right. I take
business
that back.
name. Get your federal EIN, tax number.
Facts.
Which you can do on irs.gov. You don't have to pay anybody. You don't have to go through any of these third party websites and try to pay to get that handled.
Hold
Go down.
on, I'm gonna throw a
Get,
caveat. I'm gonna throw a caveat in, bro,
but
before you keep going. If you do not know what you're doing on irs.gov, call IRS and ask questions, or talk to a professional and pay, because they are asking you real questions that they're going to hold you to. And if you talk to your man was like, "Yo, just click the buttons, then the number would come up."
yeah, that's
No.
true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Um, those the really the first basics. I would throw in there as well. Open up a business account with your bank, or with any bank. So that everything is funded through one of the business accounts, not your personal accounts, because you don't want to mix up money. Especially when it comes down to filing taxes and everything like that, and showing revenue. You want to make sure that it's coming through your business account. So that's another thing. Open up that business account with the bank. What about you, man? Throw your caveats in there.
So actually, yours are very key. I'll add one, but I want to just add something to context for folks, because I think a lot of times um, people get caught up with hearing feedback of why, but not understanding the why. Right. So I talked to my bro, salute to my guy Dave and his show, Shout Bob, where he's talking to folks that are having that battle of should I have an LLC or not. The reason why you want to have an LLC is, number one, you want to invest in yourself, but number two, you want to build something that you can benefit from later. I say that especially in the real estate business. I come across people every day that don't have LLCs, but they got businesses that's doing real business. I'm talking about businesses that some people that have LLCs would aspire to that amount of revenue, but they can't use any of that income as a part of their income, right? Because everything is under the table and off the books, and they can't make certain partnerships or relationships or work with certain vendors because they don't have an LLC or a tax ID, right? Also, speak to an attorney about maybe an LLC is for you, maybe it's an S corp, maybe it's a C corp, right? Um, Him and I both have LLCs, and we went through the proper education to make the decision on why we did that. But you need to educate yourself, because what you can't discount is you have to invest a certain amount of money in you. And look at it from this perspective. When you take a job, I don't care if it's a fast food job, right? They got to pay a certain amount of money to create a profile for you, to set you up in the system, to get you a key so you can get into the business, right? Let's say that cost them maybe $500. So every person that they hire and they end up firing, they lose $500 that they wasted because you wasn't a good employee, right? So these companies are willing to do that to you. You have got to be willing to invest that in yourself. What I'll also add to what my guy said in terms of first step is you have to analyze your household finances. And that's everybody. That could be you single on your mom's couch, trying to make the dream happen, no family, nobody really to answer to, all the way to the wife, husband with the family, with the bills, etc. You have to have a true understanding of your situation, because when you start as a business owner, unless you're starting with a lot of capital, you're going to be the assistant, you're going to be the accountant, like the janitor, you're going to be everything. And it's great. Like, it's great that you have an amazing understanding of your business finances. But what happens when you start off fast, you do a lot of business? Because some people start off fast that way, and then you realizing, why ain't no money? I see a lot of money coming in. I can't pay my bills. Did I properly plan for that? So you want to take the time. You want to put the same amount of time that you put in to analyzing your business and what you want it to be. You need to analyze your household. And the last thing I'll add is just a personal thought. If you're sharing that with a spouse or someone of that sort, you should consider having detailed conversations about the long-term plan. Because a lot of times, a lot of folks end up out of business because you mislead the person closest to you in terms of the financial situation and what's needed of your business. And then when something goes left, now you got to scramble, because your first investor, and I'm going to speak for this, and Rel, you can call me if I'm wrong. The first investor in my business was my wife. And it wasn't necessarily money always, but it was time, energy,
moral support, energy,
moral support, etc.
Give you that cosign on certain things that you might not be available or might not be there, or you might have to take some funds from one place and put it in the other just to invest in yourself, taking that risk.
100%. And as someone who in my past life worked with entrepreneurs, one of the toughest things I saw is when someone walks in and says, "Hey man, I'm missing a couple $1,000. Can you help me figure this out?" And it's because their partner or their significant other had a business challenge and pulled money from somewhere that they wasn't necessarily supposed to pull money from without a conversation. Now you've created a whole new war that you can't afford because you're already trying to build a business from scratch.
Hey, so, I'm gonna go back to the basics. I'm gonna go back to the basics. I definitely don't want to skip out the basics. I know we do deep dives, but we can't leave out the basics because everybody don't know. We don't know what we could be talking to a 13 or 14-year-old right now.
That's fact.
Or we can be talking to a 60-year-old right now who may not, be fully understanding.
Have the context.
And these are things that, either I have done or, Jay Hall have done himself. But you don't want to skip out on, having a website. You don't want to skip out on, creating social medias, where if it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But you want to make sure that they're under your business name, not your personal name. A lot of people, get mixed up in between the two. Now, it's cool to promote your business from, maybe your personal accounts, but you definitely want to have standalone accounts. That's for sure.
I agree with that. The only other thing that I will add in reference to that is if you're going to create a website, take some time and kind of map out what information, what you want to get across. Because there are also a lot of people that create websites that ain't really doing nothing or don't provide anything. So just take your time, put your time in with that. But I agree for sure. You wanna start from that. That's a serious basic that you need to have. And to add on to his basic point about business account, not just business account, payment processing is key as well. Not that you need to handle that with your bank or whatever. I mean, times have changed from when Rel started his business, where there's so many options. You don't necessarily have to get merchant services or whatever. But if you're going to use a Stripe, a Square, whoever else, investigate that, because you want to have an understanding on how you can take payments in your business if you have that kind of business. And you want to also have understanding on how that translates to your business account, because something that is an important basic is that with certain payment processes, I might buy an item from Rel and I'm partnered with one company, and within 24 hours, the money from that purchase hits my business account. I might use someone else, another vendor, and it may take a couple of days. Right. So in that early infancy stage, you want to have that conversation while you're doing the business account stuff.
For sure, for sure, for sure. And as far as those, options, like you said, as far as payments, you got an option when it comes down to the website as well. Different website builds where, maybe you can try to figure it out yourself just to really get the brand out there. Or, until you get the funds to really hire a website developer to really build out your site. So, those are some things to consider as well.
100%. And what I will add to that, like Rel said, keeping it on basics right now, with the websites, understand that a lot of these sites that have website builders, these are templates that multiple folks have access to. So just be mindful of that, because a lot of people, I mean, everybody might start with a website builder from the beginning, but just don't throw yourself off, because if you start with a website builder and you use a skin that's available and it's the exact same template, like you don't change the color, you don't change anything, you could potentially go to someone else's site and be like, yo,
Yeah.
why Bob's Burgers got the same exact looking website as mine? So you want to take a look at that, because the reason why it's called a website builder is because you can edit those skins. Rel and I have been around long enough to know that before website builders got big, it used to be that you just got a plain template and it was your template. Like you couldn't really customize it
Right.
on that level. So you want to take advantage of kind of jazzing up what's available to you before you actually go and hire that person to build you something from scratch.
Yeah. Remember like 10 years ago, the GoDaddy stages, bro.
Yeah. Listen, it's what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll do you even one better. If you remember, those are the days when Vistaprint, if you was getting business cards and stuff like
Yeah.
that, everybody
Yep.
had the same card. Gardeners, club promoters, supermarket workers, everybody had the same business card. So now that, as technology gets better in that way, and these are all things that are included in the cost of what it is that you're spending. And while we're on that subject, domain name is key. If you got a particular name or something like that that you want, you need to search it, find it, and buy it. As a matter of fact, it may be one of the things you do. It's fast, because something that I learned before I was even an entrepreneur is that there are folks who their sole business is buying domains that they believe will be lucrative in the future, to then in turn sell them to people. So the second that you have said idea that you want to move on, you may want to spend a couple of bucks, get the domain, and then figure everything else out later. But at least you've ensured that you have that domain, or you're gonna have to pay that tax to get it from whoever's flipping it.
Yeah. Real life scenarios. I believe something happened with the with Ravens, I think. Was it?
I want to say, yeah, something similar to that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember hearing something
So,
similar
I
to
mean,
that.
again, this is real life scenarios. We're not just saying it just to say it to make it sound cool. But yeah, you definitely want to do your due diligence on that. Man, you just brought up one, business cards. What's your take on business cards in 2023? I think it's something that you should have, is very basic. Um, but I don't think that business should be solely relying on the business card structure or the flyer structure, like, back early 2000s.
I do think that you need to consider the thoughts of who your potential customer base is, but I think that you need to have every form of business card that there is. So I do believe that you need to have physical cards. I do believe that you need to have these QR coded cards where you can just pull up a QR code, let someone scan it, and then your card pops up on their phone. I think
Tappy.
you need
Yeah.
to. I think that you may need to have a digital copy of a hard card on your phone. I think every single way, because from a consumer perspective, now because there's so many different options available, you're going to run into all different types of consumers in your business. And what I have found is that with the technology, yes, everything has advanced, but I've seen folks lose business because they come across somebody that's like, the first impression I get from you is your business card and the touch and the feel of it and how it is. And yes, that's old school, but that's part of your customer base. And if you have any questions about that, you look at whatever your favorite business is that you frequent on a regular basis and notice that they have ways to reach everybody. It could be Google, it could be Instagram, social media, it could be you walking past there and somebody saying, hey, come in, check us out. They're getting to the customer however they can. So I agree. I do think that business cards matter, but I don't think I'm gonna get 100 basic cards from Vistaprint and throw them in my car. That ain't enough no more.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Well said. Well said. You touched on various ways of obviously getting business. One thing I want to throw out there is definitely social media. I mean, we're in the social stage of the world, really. So social media is definitely a good quick way to really get your brand out there at an endless reach that probably you can't touch yourself locally. Using maybe hashtags, collaborating with people, sponsoring people, depending on what your brand is. Obviously, you want to make sure it lines up with what your brand stands for. But social media, I would definitely tap into one of them that works for you. Some people are good at Instagram for that business and not Facebook, and vice versa. But definitely create that social media account. Great way to promote, even if you put a couple dollars behind it to get it promoted, just for brand recognition when you're first starting off. So set a couple of dollars aside if you can for marketing, and push it out there, and also do some research on what narrows down to your target audience, because there is a way that you can narrow down your target audience to reach a particular client that matches up with your business.
I agree, and I'm gonna expand just a little bit, and I'm gonna put myself out there as someone who started social media the wrong way. Right? Let's have a difficult conversation. Rel is someone who did it the right way, and when I say the right way, yes, his point of narrowing it down matters, but something that he was doing way before it was cool was just watching social media and analyzing the habits of what influencers were before they were influencers. Like that's a new term, but 2011, 2012, 2013, we had influencers. They just weren't called that, right? And something that Rel did very early in his business that I didn't was he analyzed the habits of what works, what doesn't work, what influencers are successful, what weren't successful, what changes. We used to have an app called Vine. Why did Vine die? Who worked on Vine? Did they move to this app and were they successful? Like he took a lot of time to get down and understand the nitty gritty of the business of social media, which then in turn has allowed his skill set to transcend over all of the years of algorithm changes and so on and so forth. Because the other side to social media is that it's one thing to be popular amongst the people that you know and love and for them to support you. It's a whole nother monster to build a brand. And
Yep.
to do it effectively, you've got to try certain things. And especially now in these days where you have reels, and do you stay with the original, regular post with no content or no video? Like there's so many different things. Last thing I'll say is educate yourself on the platform, right? So, for example, listening to people far more savvier than I am in the business, they would tell you that Instagram as a business is really preferring video related content. What that tells me now as a more savvy business owner is that I got a better chance of a video getting to the levels I want than a traditional post. It doesn't guarantee it, but I understand the preferences. Learn the preferences of IG, of TikTok, of Facebook, of LinkedIn, of Twitter. And that's what's going to help you last. Because lastly, once again, going back to failure, there are a lot of people that were building stuff when I started building stuff, when Rel started building stuff, and they're not building it no more. So, just like I said, listen, educate yourself, and sometimes just scrolling up and down your timeline and watching the habits, do not let the world's going to tell you, put that phone away. We need to take it back to old school. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, especially with kids. But as a business owner, you need to see the trends. And I'm going to leave with this. Notice that a lot of businesses will lead with something negative and shock value. That's not accidental. That's because the algorithms in many cases are pushing negative and shock value things for other businesses in their industry. So that's a lot of money that folks are spending. Not saying that that's something you should do, but just educate yourself.
For sure. Study. Not just study Instagram, but study others in the industry that you're in as well, especially some of the greats. See what made them great. Some people who failed, see what made them fail, so that you can learn from those mistakes. And just put some things in your tool belt to sharpen you up. I would say never stop studying, because as you said, Jay, everything continues to change. Social media 10 years ago was completely different than what it is today. How we run our business today is different than how we ran our business when we first started. So you got to continue to study, continue to be sharp, and also continue to, change with the changes that's going on within the world, especially in the industry of business. And my number one thing is, you can have all the knowledge, all the knowledge, all the tools, but you got to execute. None of this is possible if you don't execute. And also generate revenue. I was watching things on Instagram, and to your point, the algorithm. I honestly think some people sometimes may put out a general message that may be not necessarily 100% true, may have a little bit misleading information in it, but because they're trying to go viral, they may just go ahead and upload this video that's not 100% true. I was looking at one about paying off your house 15 years early by making like extra $100 payment a month. I'm like, man, this is, how is this got so many views? But then you look at the comments and everybody's like, "Oh, that's not true. That's only $1,200 extra, a year. How would that pay off a mortgage in 15 years?" And I'm like, this person probably knows that. They're just putting that information out there so that they can go viral, so that their stuff can get pushed to the top, and maybe that'll get them a little bit more followers for what they're trying to do. So do your research, man, but also execute. You're not going to get anywhere if you're not executing and generating revenue. The business loans, you can have all the business lines of credit. Oh, I found this play on how to get $100,000 in business lines and business loans. I see that going out as well. I mean, what good use of that if you don't have the revenue to back it up? It's going to put you in debt and put you out of business in a miserable way. So, be careful with a lot of this information that you're consuming. Do your research, get the knowledge, and also execute.
I'm going to say I agree. I won't even touch on that part. I'll get into my next point, which is just when starting a business, and in my opinion, and it's an age-old thing, find a problem in your industry. You find a problem and you create the solution, you'll be successful. I'll put myself on Front Street. Coming into the real estate business, I felt like there was a problem at the grassroots level from an education perspective. There is an assumption, because the fact that home ownership is old as time, that everyone knows how home ownership works, how to become a homeowner, how to invest in real estate, and they don't. Right? So I see the problem. My solution is educating folks, whether it be locally, nationally, etc., but doing it from a regular guy perspective.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to ever see me standing in front of a Benz with a Gucci belt on, trying to explain to you how real estate made me whoever. Like, that ain't the guy who I am. What I am going to do is I'm going to educate you how to do things that folks have been doing forever, that it just didn't come across you. Because to give context, understand that from a real estate perspective, every community across the United States isn't educated on the same level. And same for whatever it is that your business is. My wife for years before she sold her business was in the cosmetology field. That's a business where if you go and learn a technique that no one else can do, and the problem is you have the solution of doing their hair or cutting their hair in a way that someone else can't. You now have found a problem, and the people got to come to see you and pay the fee for the solution, right? So just consider that. Not saying that that needs to be the foundation of what you do, but consider what the problem is and what solution you're going to provide to the marketplace.
Good way to close that one out, fam.
Yep.
Look,
I think, guys. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No. I was saying, look, I don't have anything else to follow up with that one.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect time to close it out, man. Just want to thank you guys again for tuning in, checking us out. It's a new year. We got more stuff coming to you, more conversations. At some point, we'll venture out to bring some guests we got interested in. So just stick with us. Check the clips. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on IG and all our socials, TikTok, etc. For your boy J Hall Agent, it's my guy Ralph Purnell. Salute.